All right. He's back on the show. Sean McGuire, man. You know him as S-Meezy, S-Mac of Nesson.com. Sean, you do a lot of this today? Close the franchise tag window. Open it up, get some fresh air, close the window.
Closing the window. George, I just want to apologize just off the jump. It must be tough to go from Johnny Fanta one day to Sean McGuire the next. I can't imagine that swing of emotions for you. I certainly don't live up to the king of college hoops. That's for sure.
There's a difference in excitement when I get a text back from John Fanta saying, "Yeah, come on, man, it's good to hear from you." And Sean McGuire going, "George, what do you want from me today?"
What do you want, George?
No, Sean, always love having you on. And this is a cool thing to bring you on because I give you crap about it all the time. You're a Cowboys fan, and it's got to the point I feel bad.
I was like, this is we still say all this like this is a past life.
You're no
Breaking
longer a Cowboys fan.
No, we've had this conversation off camera.
What do you root for on Sundays?
I don't root. I'm not. I root for the NFL. I root for football.
Yes.
Oh God! So you root for Roger Goodell? This is even worse.
And a decent story count on Sunday is what I root for.
Oh, God bless you, Sean McGuire. Thank you. You have seen the light, brother.
Sean McGuire, who, and I quote, said, Dak Prescott's the greatest all-encompassing franchise quarterback ever. All-encompassing.
I did say that.
That's old.
That was a few
news.
years ago, and that was about 6 months before he won Walter Payton Man of the Year.
Yeah.
So I don't think I've had a take that actually has aged as well as that one.
All right. I bring you on because you know the Cowboys and you know how they operate. Better? Mm-hmm. They agreed to a big extension with Osa Odighizuwa, $20 million a year, 4 years, $80 million, 58 total guaranteed, $20 million guaranteed at signing. Woo. This is a guy just like a Milton Williams, age 26, same position, very similar production. What did this deal getting done by the Cowboys, who also get this done by keeping a guy in-house, don't let him shop around. What did this say to you about the potential of the Milton Williams prospect, who the Patriots reportedly are really heavy on?
Yeah, I think it pretty much tells you the market that he'll be getting, right? I mean, it's that it was 4 years, $80 million. I know the guarantee. I think I saw two different numbers, but
59 in it.
59. Okay.
No, excuse me.
56,
he had $20 million
like
at signing, and then around $58 million guaranteed total.
A lot of bread.
So essentially, in that guaranteed money is only behind Chris Jones. So it's the total isn't as much as a Chris Jones deal, which was insane. But the guarantee is up there with the tops in the league, and I just think it kind of says from a Patriots perspective, that's what you need to be willing to give up in order to get someone like Milton Williams. And you just talked about the production. The numbers are like stunningly similar. Milton, 11.5 sacks, 25 tackles for loss in 67 career games. Odighizuwa, 13.5 sacks, 28 tackles for loss in the exact same 67 games. Milton, you also need to know, Milton was competing much more for snaps than Odighizuwa was. It's just, Philly just has so many guys up front.
Yeah.
And so that is certainly worth noting. He only had 19 starts compared to Odighizuwa's 63 career starts. So I do think that, the similar production, you need to take into account the amount of snaps he was getting in comparison. But I just overall think it says, you need to be willing to pay up for this. And are the Patriots willing to do that? Should the Patriots be willing to do that? Yeah. My answer to that is yes. But before today, there was only 14 interior defenders that had, 20 million AAV. And the Patriots already have one of those guys in Christian Barmore. So that is certainly, that might be a little bit of a wrinkle. If they want to extend themselves. To the Barmore point, though, his future certainly seems a little bit more uncertain at this point than it did, certainly than it did at this point last year. But even in the last few months, I feel like some of the reports that kind of trickle out, it's not super good news, I guess, to put it kind of mildly. So do the Patriots, view that as, we don't really know what Barmore is going to look like, so we're going to go after someone like Milton Williams?
Yeah, and I think you set everything up perfect, too. And these are guys that are in the same draft class.
Yep.
Great comps put up by our producer, Ethan, that they were in the same draft. Williams was drafted 2 picks before Odighizuwa in 2021. Yep. What I looked at this past season's production, Osa, 50 pressures. Milton Williams, 54. Yep. Osa, 7 sacks. Milton Williams, 8 sacks. Milton Williams playing off Jalen Carter, though, who is arguably the best defensive tackle in the league right now.
Yeah.
While Osa Odighizuwa is playing with the banged-up defensive front, Micah Parsons in and out of the lineup, and that defense all around just playing like an absolute sieve. Yeah. So what you point out, though, are the Patriots willing to pay? Here's a great bite. Here's from Cameron Wolf on the Insiders with NFL Network, what he had to say about Milton Williams hitting free agency.
One thing I did hear in Indy was defensive tackle Milton Williams from the Eagles is a guy that we can keep an eye on in New England. They have a lot of cap space, 25 years old, coming over a Super Bowl title, a good fit for their system. Maybe he's a guy on the defensive side that Mike Vrabel and their staff makes a huge splash on in a couple of weeks.
Huge splash on $126 million in cap space. So what I always like to do, I do this a lot with Trav. So I'm going to throw this at both of you guys, all right?
Okay.
A little bit of, I'm the GM. Sean, you are Milton Williams. Trav, you're Milton Williams' agent, all right? I'm Mike Vrabel, by the way. I'm not Elliot Wolf. We'll get more into that later on how that rank works out. So if you look at Osa Odighizuwa's contract, he got 12th in total value for all defensive tackles, 14th in annual value of his contract, and top 10 in guaranteed. Cool. So this is what I'm going to do. Since Milton Williams just won a ring, I'm going to give you 4 years, $88 million. That's $22 million a year. I'm going to give you $59.5 fully guaranteed, and I'm also going to go with around $26 million guaranteed at signing as well. So with all of that, I'm beating Dexter Lawrence in total value in AAV, who's the same age, and I'm beating Jeffrey Simmons in total guaranteed again, who's in total value and in the same age. What do you guys make of that deal? $22 million a year.
Yeah.
$59.5 fully guaranteed.
Let me speak to my client, please. Yo, Milton, I think they shortchanging you, dog.
Trav, you have to look to your left.
No, he's sitting next to me. They know. We breaking the fourth wall. I'm talking to my client. I think you get more, man. What you think?
I mean, if you can push for it, that's good.
We want more.
So
next deal.
The practical that I'm giving you on that puts you just behind Dexter Lawrence. So fine, $61 million guaranteed. That is the fifth highest for all defensive tackles in the NFL.
I want the most.
$61 million. I'm not giving you that. You're not Chris Jones. You're not Christian Wilkins. I'm giving you the fifth most. By the way, you're not going to be playing with Jalen Carter. Here's $61 million guaranteed. But that's what it has to look like from the Patriots.
Bad, though. He's not that bad.
No, Christian Barr. Yeah, he's not that bad. We don't know if he'll be there in the summertime. Good to play off of. But that $22 million a year, and at the end of the day, that's just like a weird number. I still don't know who pushes for that.
Yeah.
It's guaranteed money.
Right.
That's what T. Higgins wants. That's what Jamar Chase wants. That's why they haven't agreed to a deal yet with the Bengals, because they don't give the cash. What the Patriots have the opportunity to do right now, they have the cap space to give the big number, the big AAV, but they could go, here, fine. You know what? I'll give you the big guaranteed money. I'll give you the upfront money. I will give you $50 million guaranteed at signing. Total lifetime of contract overall guaranteed. I'm going to give you $61 million. So you get $61 million, but I'm going to give you $50 right now. You still got a lot of cap space too.
I like that one, Milton. I think we should take that one, bro. What you think?
I'm good with that one too.
Yeah! Show me the money!
But that's what it has to look like. If they're going to swing big, you're going Ronnie Stanley, and then from there, you're going Milton Williams. Sean, I want to bring that up next. You came on, you said, here are the guys I expect to be tagged.
Yep.
T. Higgins was tagged.
Yep.
Sam Darnold not tagged. Alaric Jackson agreed to an extension, took a good left. I wanted him out as all left tackles off the board.
That was your
guy.
guy.
That leaves Ronnie Stanley and Darius Slayton.
Yep.
What do you think that mean? What do you think that means for the Patriots now as they enter the window of, okay, legal tampering's about to begin?
Yeah, I mean, those guys have to jump. I would say Ronnie Stanley is number one. Yep. I'll say that he should be the top, the priority free agent for the Patriots. I'm going to go Milton Williams number two.
Okay.
If the Patriots can't get a Ronnie Stanley, then that's where like a Cam Robinson comes in. I think because that is the most important backup plan. It has to be.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I guess if you were able to get Ronnie Stanley and Cam Robinson, I mean, maybe the price works out where you can get both of them, have one of them shift to the right side. Not a terrible problem to have, but I think those guys have to be atop the list. I think Chris Godwin's up there, Darius Slayton is up there, Javarius Ward's up there. George, I know you like Byron Murphy. I think that's fair as well. I did see a projection for Byron Murphy. It was $22 million for AAV, and just kind of going through and we'll put it on Spot Track again. But I was able to essentially get Javarius Ward and Mike Hilton, so the Bengals slot corner, able to get that for pretty much the same price as Byron Murphy. Which could you work that out? That would be interesting to see as well. But yeah, I think the hierarchy is kind of set at this point. I think it's Ronnie Stanley, then a little bit of a gap, then Milton Williams, then a little bit of a gap, and then the rest of those guys. But you need to address the offensive tackle in free agency.
I love that plan, actually, and that's I'm sure you heard our first segment as Smeezy, where I was talking to George and I said, look, if you go out and you get 2 tackles in free agency, I think all of a sudden Will Campbell, not to say you're not going to draft him, but certainly it sort of opens up the game a bit on draft night where you can be more apt to trade back. Maybe you don't go offensive line early in the draft. We still, are anticipating they'll address this putrid offensive line, even if you add 2 tackles in free agency. Yeah. But I just don't think there'll be that urgency to take a Will Campbell. You can kind of open your eyes more to other things, trading back, or someone else at number 4. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. And I would say, when we talked the other day, it was – I don't think I'm ready to like shut the door on Will Campbell being a tackle. Yeah. Just hearing from the experts, Jeremiah is talking about it during the combine, an hour after Will Campbell tested, and he's still saying, I think Will Campbell can be a tackle. You have Dane Brugler come out today. He releases a mock draft and has Will Campbell going 5 to the Jaguars. So he, still views Will Campbell as a tackle. So I'm not ready to shut the door on that. I do agree that you can't draft a guard at 4. In an ideal world, if you make some moves as free agency, if you add Ronnie Stanley, and then you are able to trade back to whatever it is, 6 or 8 or one of those spots. Sure. I think that would be a great way to address, the offensive line, because you can't put too many assets into the offensive line this offseason, at least from where I'm from my vantage point, I guess. Yeah,
you can't put too many, but there again, it goes into that conversation. There's a reason Alaric Jackson didn't hit the market. Yep. Ronnie Stanley, they couldn't tag him, but the Ravens are working like hell to keep him in their room. That's where the Patriots need to step up. And if you don't draft and take advantage of what you have in front of you, then they're going to keep running into this issue where they have to overpay for the left tackle. Instead of, like, Alaric Jackson's contract surprised me. I thought it was low in every metric of payment, but when you extend guys and keep them in your building, that's when you make a good bargain on that. So, look, like, it has to go. The pecking order, the free agency, it's Ronnie Stanley 1, Milton Williams 2. And then you float a Cam Robinson. It's a Paul McCarry who's played right tackle, could play multiple positions. It's no longer Trey Smith, but there are the backup guards on the market like a Will Freeze. There's Dan Moore. There's Ken Robinson who have played tackle. Yep. But option 1 has to be option 1 to a point where you can't keep going, well, these were the backups. This was the backup here. No, option 1 has to be like ultimately important on that all. The Byron Murphy one I want to touch on quick. I understand where Spotrac is projecting him for. He's going to be 27. So think of a L'Jarius Sneed type contract who signed his contract when he was 27 years old, and he got $19.1 million a year. That's what we base off of. You give him $20 million a year, and that's where it can work. And I just think, again, when you model it off of, this is the guy, because this is how it goes. Here's a position, here's the age, here's a production, and here's now the market, this is how much we'll pay you. End of the day, it's what are you giving in the guaranteed money? It's going to be looking like a 27, a 4-year deal, probably a void 4th year. And then the guaranteed at the signing around $46 million guaranteed and just over $50 million. And you're going around $21 million a year over 4 years. So again, that gets it into, that's $84 million total value. It looks good. Yep. Here's $51 million fully guaranteed over the course of 3 real years, and we go from there. So the Byron Murphy, and after Mike Vrabel said it, I like guys that play in the slot and outside. It's really important in that position. That perked my ears of, I don't think it's all Charvarius Ward or bust anymore. I think it's actually looking at Byron Murphy, and maybe the backup plan, the option 2 is an okay or a good cornerback 2, or maybe an Alex Austin who's already in their building.
Yeah, I don't hate that plan at all. I mean, I do think it's the versatility that a Byron Murphy would bring. Played a ton outside. Has a ton of experience in the slot as well. Yeah. I do think, and I wrote the same thing today. Just Vrabel's kind of comment about how important of a trend it was with these slot cornerbacks. I think that should perk your ears up. The Patriots are going to go after a nice slot cornerback, and you still have a Jonathan Jones sort of thing, and maybe you can retain him. It still sounds like the Patriots would be interested in doing that, but he's also not closing the door on going somewhere else.
Yeah.
He wants money.
Yeah, exactly. So, we'll kind of see how that plays out. I think the Patriots should try to keep him, just, the veteran he is in the room. But, to your point about Byron Murphy, he's one of the best cornerbacks on the market. And, the versatility that he brings, I think is, it's certainly worth paying for.
Smeezy, this just popped in my mind, and I didn't get a chance to talk to you about it. George and I talked about this, but there is a world in which this Sam Darnold thing, I mean, Smeezy, if Sam Darnold signs with one of these top teams at the top of the draft.
Yeah, it's not great news for the Patriots.
Well, is there a way that I can get my hands on a Travis Hunter or an Abdul Carter if he does sign with one of those teams? Do you think it could change the landscape of this draft where one of those guys maybe slide down because now those teams are not taking a quarterback? Maybe there's a shot that they don't come off of the board. Or do you think if Darnold signs with one of those teams, which it sounds like you do, the Patriots are screwed?
Yeah, I do think that. And I think that essentially I would have wanted him to stay in Minnesota. And it still sounds like, at least Ian Rappaport came out earlier today and said that the Vikings are still trying to get a long-term deal done. So it's not an absolute that he's not going to be back in Minnesota, but I certainly think it's less likely. And I think him, signing with the Giants or him, going to Vegas or, Cleveland or Tennessee, those sorts of things, if it wouldn't be good for the Patriots. I mean, if he lands in Tennessee, then that they're not taking a Cam Ward.
Right.
Exactly.
And, so it's the same thing with the other situations. So, yeah, I do think that as minuscule, or I guess the trickle-down effect is essentially kind of what we're getting at.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's great for the Patriots.
Damn it. I'm trying, George.
But that's what it is that if they have their quarterback, they're picking 1 overall, they're going to go with the best prospect.
Yep.
Yeah.
We have number 1 overall pick. We're still not going to be that good. Let's take Abdul Carter right now. That's likely how they're going to think. Or they go, we have the number 1 overall pick. Yeah, we have Calvin Ridley. Our defense stinks. Let me get Travis Hunter, who looks like Garrett Wilson. And they go from there.
Right.
And then they have Travis Hunter under cost control for 5 years.
Yeah.
Sean, I want to end with this. When the Cowboys, and this is fully serious, when the Cowboys agree with this deal on Osa Odighizuwa,
Yep.
who gets a credit here? Is that Will McClay? Is that Stephen Jones working? Seriously. I want to give credit because that's a great deal.
Yeah.
And I want to give credit to Will McClay, who he wants to stay in Dallas, obviously. He's been there over 20 years, but he's stuck dealing with the dumbass owner.
No, Will McClay he's the guy. I would say a lot of his stuff, at least from what I read, a lot of it he is like more draft heavy than anything else.
Yeah.
I wouldn't give Jerry any credit for anything. But they did they got a good deal done. I do think that's fair to say. It was, and immediately the national guys came out and said, if they were to tag Osa for the next 2 years, he would have made like $10-15 more total if they were to tag him for that. So to get the first 2 years of that deal for like $40 million, and obviously in total 4 for $80, like we mentioned earlier, I do think I think that was a great deal by Jerry and the boys.
Yeah, well, mainly the boys.
Jerry, Steven, Jerry Jr., Charlotte.
I knew it was coming.
Contract. I just want someone in Dallas to get the credit, not named Jerry Jones. That's all I want. Always give the credit where it's due, Sean. You always do the great job coming on. Appreciate you stopping by, my man. Trust me, I'm just as happy to see you as I am to see John Fan. Don't ever tell yourself otherwise. He didn't have a lot of hope for your Huskies in this March Madness tournament, though. You can check that out. Latest episode of Boston Center, the chat, John Fanta. You could also check out the entire Sox season on NESN 360 with the new annual plan at an all-new reduced price of just $20 a month paid annually. And for a limited time, get 4 free tickets to Fenway with your purchase. Visit NESN360.com to sign up today. That's NESN360.com for a new reduced price, $20 a month paid annually.